So it's now March 22nd, 2020. It's just past midnight. Um, I'll be doing Volume 1 of Ultimate Spider-Man, which collects issues number 1 through 7. I'll give credit where credit's due. I'll give it like a nice little introduction, and we'll go underway, I guess. But the storyline is Bill Jamis and Brian Michael Bendis. The writer is Brian Michael Bendis. Pencils is Mark Bailey. Inks Art Thibert and Dan Panosian. Colors is Steve Buccellato. Steve Buccellato. Mari Javins or Mary Javins. And then you got letterers, Richard Starkings, I guess, and Comic Craft. And I guess I should mention Colors also says Color Graphics and Transparency Digital, which I imagine are two companies. You got assistant editor Brian Smith and editor Ralph Macchio. And then there's obviously more stuff. But I was just kind of thinking about the concept of just comic books, because, I mean, definitely for this series at least, there's a lot of like cinematic elements, and at some point the medium for comics started to transition into like a storyboard for movies, and that's kind of cool, but I don't, I always thought that comic books were kind of their own thing, and I do still think they kind of are. They tell a story that I don't think that you can truly transition into another medium without having to change some things. Going back to like say like Amazing Spider-Man, or just the very early issues of Spider-Man. I'll have to fucking pick those comics up or the fucking a collection and check it out again. But for the most part, this is just one example that I can think of. I didn't really read too many other really old comics, but I imagine they kind of have that same feeling of character that's got some special thing about them. A superhuman ability. Typically, there are there's war comics, there's cowboy comics, there's romance comics, there's all different kinds of comic books. And superheroes was just one more thing, but generally it was about heroes, but they were, super, pretty Captain Obvious shit right here. But a lot of these, stories that I had read for Spider-Man, they're very short, the storyline, very short stories, and it just was predominantly something small that would happen, a robber, or sometimes they would introduce characters that villains that some people beloved to this day, that have remained in the plot, the Spider-Man plot, past more than one issue. But by this point, this is a comic that came out in 2000, Ultimate Spider-Man. That's what I'm talking. I'm now talking about that. I'm now moving on to this. Once again, there are now issues that can spawn, a part 1, part 2, part 3. Even though it's all they're issues, and it all continue. It's all one continuous story for this one character. However, a lot more content will be focused on, these villains, or, these subplots, or whatever you want to call it. And compared to how it used to be, I'm not saying that they didn't have that kind of stuff, but for the most part, it was, I would say, a little bit, I guess, simpler. But once again, though, I'm not going to say literally Ultimate Spider-Man is the exact same thing as the first movie that came out around the same time for Spider-Man. But there are definitely, once again, similar elements, and some things that couldn't, transition into film. And you can, look at how the Green Goblin's outfit came out. And they had to update it to the 2000s, because, if there was literally a goblin with purple clothing on, and just, it would look ridiculous. But I mean, I think there's a time and a place for everything, and I think if it's done properly, I don't think it'll change too much. But that's besides the point. I guess that's I guess I'll finish off with that. But from very short, no more than maybe sometimes like 12 panels, 15 panels, not too many panels at all, to getting to like a decent length issue. Because I mean, like issue 1 or so, or even issue 2, issue 3, whatever, contains like 3 stories sometimes. Like even sometimes it'll be 2, but I'm not sure quite when they started making it so that I can't remember. I don't remember who started it, but just having a long continuous having a story because I mean, for the most part, what I mean, like the idea was you'd get everything that you needed to know about this character if you picked up one issue, and you could pick up any issue and you'd be able to, like, I mean, it wasn't too confusing. Whereas it got to a point somewhere, I don't know where, but like there's the 3-part arc that would go through 3 issues, and if you picked up the wrong, you picked up the middle issue, you wouldn't know what the fuck is going on, particularly necessarily, unless they're some people can, I guess, write really well so that you can understand what's going on no matter what. You can jump in at any point. But I think Marvel's thing was always like they always treated every issue as like a jumping on point for the most part, so like you'd always kind of understand somewhat. But I don't know. It's just interesting to see, at least just like how structure goes. I mean, you can even go to music. Symphonies, excuse me, symphonies by orchestras. On how it had to be condensed. There were still big bands, and it kind of like it was probably it got to a point where it was just not reasonable to have so many big bands. But it still kind of transitions into like these little mini fucking troops running around as I guess groups or acts or bands, whatever. But songs are a lot shorter, and there's words now. I'm not saying that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they probably couldn't. I don't know. Back in the anyway. I mean, like I'm talking about like fucking when they were by the time they were able to record music. Obviously, Anyway, I'm going all over the place. I'm just gonna start reading it. Normally, I don't really rate or grade it. I don't ever do that. It's not really like a review or it's just, I consider it just gossip. It's just me gossiping. I read this series as a kid from start relatively to finish in my teenage life or span, I guess. And at one point I sold everything because I just thought digital was the way to go, and I don't think it's too far off, but I think it was very stupid of me to get rid of all my shit. And I've been slowly grabbing some things back. Some things I'm kind of like, I didn't really... it got to a point where you're just collecting shit and you just start like, don't even know if you even like it or not. And I don't want to, I mean, shit happens. You're always going to like have some kind of fucking, filler, I guess. But I digress. I'll just get right into it, man. I mean, I just opened the book, and first couple of panels, it deals with Norman Osborn, and, that already kind of, is setting the grounds for that arc. And so, I mean, like, it's definitely, goes throughout, 1 through 7. I know it ends with Peter and Spider-Man and Green Goblin, an updated form of Green Goblin fighting each other. But yeah, I mean, like, once again, like, just this is a 7-parter essentially, even though it's technically the first, it's the origin stories, I guess, of Spider-Man for this this universe, which once again, like. I mean, I don't know how I mean, like, it was interesting. I can't even believe I even got into, I mean, like, I was, as a kid, it's just something new. Just, I could have I could have jumped on to, Amazing Spider-Man, but I mean, it was definitely already issue fucking probably 500 something by that point. And this is, I don't know how the fuck I came in, like, once again, it's probably free comic book day, and I just wanted to collect all of it, because, it's Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. But, yeah, I don't know, I thought at least, at the very least, like, Norman Osborn would appear later on, in, like, issue 2 or 3 even, but, not the case. Also, flipping through this, I noticed that issue 1 is a very thick fucking issue, which, I think it was just literally because they really wanted to sell this comic and have it do well. Because, I checked out, like, issue 2 to fucking 3 and 4, like, they're really short. Alright, so it opens with Norman just kind of fucking monologuing about Athena and Arachne, which I don't know if that's real or not. If it is, that's cool. If not, then that's kind of bullshit. Regardless, it's just kind of like, I guess how do you open this book in general? They could have just done it with having it spotlight on Peter Parker's life, but once again, they're going for this like cinematic approach and kind of foreshadowing what's to come, excuse me. There's funny little moments. Norman just kind of throws this, well, doesn't throw, but drops a spider in one of his assistant's hands, and it's kind of funny in a sense because it's just like, oh shit, he's handing him a fucking spider. But also it's even funnier because like in the same panel just above, it says based on the original story and Amazing Fantasy number 15 by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. So it's kind of like, that's the spider right there, baby, right fucking there. So it's kind of like, if that guy only knew that he would want to be bitten by that fucking spider. So it's kind of like a little, nice little in joke or whatever. I guess the assistant's clumsy and he just doesn't fucking put the top on. I think that the spider could have gotten out a little bit different, but I guess sheer stupidity is the way they're going, which is fine. After a page or so, like a page and a half, there you go, you got fucking Peter Parker. So cool. Sorry, that's actually 2 pages before you see Peter Parker, but that's I digress. I guess it's bullshit. I hope I don't mention too many of the differences or the updates or whatever, but they do have Mary Jane. I think they have both Gwen Stacy and Mary Jane. I think Gwen's she's kind of like talking about how she's huge in the doghouse at home. I think that's her. I could be wrong. But Mary Jane wasn't a predominant character until much later. I will say they caked on the bullying a little bit, but it does definitely hit home on the whole bullying aspect, and they do also make mention of disorders as well. Whether that's actually something that they're actually considering or not, but I don't know. So far, it's pretty nice update. Once again, it definitely has that very cinematic. I could definitely see this transition into a fucking into a movie. Once again, it seems to be pretty spot on to the movie, not literally, but anyway, they it was a slow build to getting the spider bite, but once when they got to the fucking Osborn Industry Labs or whatever, like he gets bit like fucking right away. Like in the movies, at least they at least there was at least a little of a build up. Like they walked around a little bit more before. But I guess they were just like, let's just not fucking waste any time. So I got to the point. I'm stopping anyway at they stole Peter's blood, and they said that they found out that he's gonna be dying, so they're now gonna try to take him out, so they don't want to deal with any fucking precautions, or even having to stop their experiment at all. I think it's pretty good so far. Pretty good telling. Obviously, it's sold really, really well. So, I don't need to fucking tell you that shit. But, some things fucking age really bad. So, in terms of like music, even a single that sells right now fucking really well, sells millions in like a year, even 6 months, or fucking 10 years from now, ain't worth fucking anything, because it's just that sound is fucking dead. Alright, so I finished the first issue. If you fucking have seen any of the movies, it pretty much showing typical stuff. Peter fucking learning about his powers now. He got bit by a spider beforehand, and I guess they're showing a little bit more of Norman Osborn, foreshadowing. Show him off as a fucking dickhead dad. Kind of also makes intern Harry a dickhead. You can see through their communication. It's very similar. They kind of also the fucking the same characters as fucking before. They're just fucking updating it. So I'm just gonna move on. This is a nice little foreshadowing into what's going to be going on in modern fucking I guess history. I guess. Said in 1930, the Republicans controlled the House of Representatives in an effort to elevate the effects of the Great Depression. They passed the tariff bill, which raised tariffs in order to collect more revenue for the federal government. Anyone know the effects? It did not work, and the United States government sank deeper into the Great Depression. As for communication's sake, the dialogue's pretty cool. Just here, Thompson gets attention, and he's like, "What? Why? What'd I do?" Now, he could be, sarcastic, he already knows, or he could be very fucking ignorant of his actions and doesn't realize how much of an asshole he's being. Once again, they're really laying it on thick how much of a bully that Flash is being with his friend Kong. I don't know. It's a nice little dialogue. Some people really don't know the consequences of their actions. Once again, the dialogue's pretty nice here. Just conveniently, Kong and Harry are just talking about Parker crushing Flash's hand, and Norman's walking in to the kitchen where Kong and Harry are talking. And, leads into Norman asking Harry if he could bring Peter to his lab after school tomorrow, I guess. In the context of what's going on right now. Anyway, just very nice. It's just kind of smooth, in my opinion. It's just kind of coincidental, but nonetheless, very convenient for Norman. Issue 2, they're even foreshadowing Octavius, Doc Ock. Issue 2 ends with Norman saying, "Hey man, I want to fucking do this trial," because they just got some of Parker's blood, and originally it showed that he was going to die, and now it seemed to have reversed the effects and made him in fact healthier. So that's why Norman's going fuck it, I'll try it. So we're now going into issue 3. It's weird that Norman doesn't decide to just try to replicate what had happened with Peter. Just injecting the Oz formula or whatever Oz compound into the spider again, and hopefully it'll fucking do the same thing. I guess maybe it's just he said it's under more scientific environments. So maybe that's why. But, I don't know. Obviously, scientists might know fucking better. But, if, I don't know. I would just fucking chance. I don't know if I would just fucking say, fuck it, I'll inject myself. But at the same time, though, if you see what the fuck, could happen to the potential of that, why the fuck wouldn't you want that yourself? Issue 3 was really quick. It just, was, Peter Parker making some money for his aunt and uncle, Aunt May and Uncle Ben, because he broke Flash's hand, and Flash's family decided to sue Peter's, I guess, guardians, I guess, which would be Uncle Ben and Aunt May, for about $2,500. So he's trying to make money for them on the side, and can't literally say where he's getting it from. So he just says that teachers are anonymously giving money to Uncle Ben and Aunt May. And it ends with Norman Osborn getting injected with the Oz compound. It is filler of an issue, but I would say this is some good filler. Once again, it's fucking typical. If you fucking, this storyline's been played to death. I fucking, could tell you the story of Spider-Man fucking, I don't know, fucking anytime. So right as Peter Parker's running away because he's being blamed that he stole money, so basically his wrestling career is over. He's saying he's got a heart of gold. and say he's like, I could have kicked their asses. But right as he's thinking that, he's changing costumes. One of the robbers is fucking robbing, I guess, some deli, and Peter does not stop him. And I guess he's just like, well, I got my own problems. That's the reason why I didn't stop him. Heart of Gold. And, I already know the fucking consequences, to that kind of action. He could have stopped him, and this would stop Uncle Ben from getting shot. So, it's just a very crazy life lesson. So, Peter runs away at some point from home because he got really shitty grades in English. And, he's acting really different and shit. But, a lot of shit's going on. So he ends up crashing at Kong's place because he can't find anywhere. He doesn't know where else to go. Gets nabbed by Uncle Ben while at a party, at Kong's party. And, kind of gets a stern talking to. But then Peter runs away again. And as he decides to come back home, there's a bunch of fucking cop cars. And though that ends issue 4, I will say all the covers for each issue it looks pretty fucking nice. Like issue 5, for example, I really like how it looks. But I really didn't want to try to be a fucking synopsis, so I'll try not to do that shit. The classic tale of Spider-Man, about a teenager getting bit by a radioactive spider, getting superpowers, not using it for, I guess the slogan, with great powers come great responsibility, and he's not totally following that protocol or that rule, which results in, a terrible consequence of a loss of a close one, which tends to be a very hard lesson for him to have to learn. He could have learned it a lot easier. So, but it's just kind of telling that story. Once again, if you've watched the movie at all, it's pretty much telling this story. So, this is the issue where they're talking about Uncle Ben getting killed, and Peter doing something about it. So, besides, the nice little foreshadowing of what's going to happen for issue 6 and 7, I just finished issue 5. You pretty much get, the story of Spider-Man, the story of Peter Parker becoming Spider-Man. And Brian Michael Bendis does a really good job of it. And I guess, whoever, the other dude who helped with the story, Bill Jamis, which I didn't know. I thought it was just all Brian Michael Bendis. Don't know how much the other guy helped. But, it was a nice modern take. So, continuing. Such a natural continuation. Then I'll bring in J. Jonah Jameson, the whole Daily Bugle. And they're kind of showing, his attitude towards Spider-Man and just fucking, I don't know, it's just, once again, just portraying the story that, if you love Spider-Man, you know and love and have come to love, this is just fucking a really nice reboot of sorts. And reboots, for the most part, are typically pretty fucking bland and annoying, and I don't think that they could probably do another reboot of Spider-Man's origins without just fucking, I don't know, because especially in the way that they've done that with the movies, it's just fucking, I don't know. Sometimes you don't even need to even talk about the origins anymore. Just fucking, we know the character, just tell the fucking stories you want to tell, and hopefully there's a fucking message in there. It's not just some fucking scenario just being thrown out for the character they just have to deal with. So I believe that Peter's dad worked on more projects than just the one, but I guess they had to come up with a way of, how does a 15-year-old coming up with shooting his own webs, I guess, because he's Spider-Man. Hope it has nothing to do with fucking, any sexual implications or whatever. If it does, then that's fucking hilarious. But I hope it doesn't, because with the help of his dad's information, he was able to figure it out. So maybe, but I guess they had to come up with a way of figuring out, like I said, Spider-Man getting webs. But I don't know, man. Just it's a little now. It's starting to get like a little too convenient, but or coincidental. But whatever. Anyway, continuing on. I feel like it was kind of clunky to have. I mean, they could have just had the school just go under attack anyway, but it's just as soon as they see Harry Osborn kind of just show up out of nowhere, then fucking bam, the Green Goblin or Norman's fucking attacking the school. I mean, I guess in a sense, like, he's just following his son, but I mean, once again, it's just that convenient kind of, just once coincidental kind of thing. You can't really yell too much at. I mean, Harry could have just not been there, and then just, because about an issue or so beforehand, the Green Goblin or Norman as his new form is, just kind of just grumbling, Parker. But so I mean, he could have showed like he's obviously looking for Parker, but anyway, and that's could be by the end of the day that's what Green Goblin actually is and is doing, and Harry just mistaken thinking that his father was actually coming for him when he actually was going for Parker instead or Peter instead. So issue 6 ends with Green Goblin or Norman and Peter Parker or fucking Spider-Man fighting each other, and once again he's grumbling Parker, and Spider-Man or Peter Parker's like, whoa, fucking this guy knows me. How the fuck is that possible? So that ends issue 7. We're now going into issue 7, or it ends issue 6. We're going into issue 7. My bad. I just want to mention, I guess, just like kind of off. It's not really too off tangent, but for dialogue of Spider-Man or Peter Parker, like even right now he's even like kind of joking to himself in his own thought bubbles, which is really showing how nervous he is. But just the concept of like fucking trying to make jokes. Because, like, I mean, for example, one of his jokes is like, I know that the food's not that bad, but you all got to work within the system or whatever. And it's just kind of like joking, like, that why the Green Goblin's, destroying the school or whatever. And it just, I don't even fucking breaks down the aspects of what the fuck comedy even is. And clearly it's not the best joke, but, I always like Spider-Man for how, I guess it'd be witty or a little clever, or how jokey he would be, even if he was scared. It kind of just almost showed like a confidence, like a false confidence that he had or has. Could be very coincidental, or it's just kind of doing it on purpose. But they're fighting off a bridge that looks very similar to the bridge that Green Goblin would later have Gwen being chucked off and Spider-Man having to catch her and her breaking her neck and dying. But we see Green Goblin apparently getting he got shot a bunch of times and just fucking fell into the water, in which I already know that the last couple of panels is just showing the water bubbling, showing that he might not be, or that he's not fucking gone and dead. In a convenient storytelling fashion, Peter Parker finds out through Harry basically just fucking rambling out loud that it's, his dad was the, Green Goblin, or the thing that was attacking the school. So now Peter's like, kind of starts to make sense for Peter, but everyone else is like, that had to have been Hulk or something. But, ends really nice. I mean, I think that issue 6 and 7 could have hypothetically been one issue, and I think even like there were some short ass issues, really, really, really short. Because I mean the first issue was long as fuck. I mean, it was trying to. I know why, but I mean overall, it was a really nice origin story. You know what I mean? I've fucking read it before, seen it before, heard it before a million times. But it didn't get old. It was fresh. Still makes me want to fucking read comics. Makes me want to definitely read the fucking next volume. So I really don't have much more to say. I kind of just feel like I said everything. Thanks for listening. Take care and have a good night, day, afternoon, evening, fucking whatever.